Hi, in this video we're going to talk about what you should do if you find that you cannot pay your child support obligation due to coronavirus job loss. Hi, my name is Sean Palmer with the Palmer Law Firm, and for the past 18 years I've been an attorney practicing exclusively in the area of family law. Several of those years were spent just enforcing child support, and that's all I did for several of my years in a career. And I've never seen the situation more dire for obligors of child support court orders here in Texas. Over the last month, the unemployment rate has soared to 14.7%. And to put that in perspective, that is the worst unemployment rate that we've had since September 1945, when troops came home from the war. And we've had a more devastating loss than even that by an order of 10. There's 10 times greater job loss than at the worst month of our job loss in history. And so we are seeing a lot of people with a lot of economic uncertainty, and the segment of our population who's going to get hit hardest by this in a real world way is the children, because a lot of children are under child support orders and they are relying on the support of somebody to give cash payments to the primary caregiver. But the obligors, the ones who are paying the child support, no longer are able to make those payments. So in this video we're going to talk about 3 essential steps to take when you're facing this situation, which many Americans are. In the eyes of the court, the child support debt should be your number one debt that you pay off. And that is the thing from the enforcement angle that is usually the hardest thing to get across to people, that of all the other debts that you have in your list, that you have of lists of debt that you have to pay, your child support obligation is probably the only one that is going to end you up in jail at the most extreme level if you don't pay it over a long period of time. So don't think that I'm saying that you have to pay your child support or you're going to automatically the next month end up in jail. But unless you start doing something about it now, if you can no longer make your obligation, you are going to find yourself with a very troublesome situation for yourself. So the 3 steps that I recommend that you do is, number 1, talk to the other parent who is receiving the child support. The second thing to do is to try to replace your income. And the third thing you should do is to attempt to modify the child support amount if you think that is going to be warranted over a long period of time. So to begin with, number 1, reach out to the other parent. The best way to get some easy relief is to speak with the other parent about the fact that you can no longer afford to pay the child support obligation. Work a deal with the other parent to try to get them some sort of money every month. This will help them to feel that you are on top of that issue, that you're going to be doing something about it, and they might not so quickly go out to try and enforce on the child support out of a sense of not knowing. It's not going to prevent them from trying to enforce on the child support, but it may buy you some time while you're trying to either let the economy heal itself, maybe you're furloughed and you won't be furloughed anymore, or for you to find other sources of income. So first step should be to communicate with the other side, tell them that you realize that you haven't paid, or even better yet, tell them that you're anticipating not being able to meet the month's obligation, but give them something, and give them something to rely on, so that they can think that you're just not, you're just ignoring the situation. So while you do that, and whether that's effective or not, you should still go and try to replace your income. The one thing that's going to be important for you, if you are find yourself in the middle of an enforcement suit about child support that you didn't pay, you're going to want to make sure that you have told the judge and demonstrated to the judge all the different ways that you tried to make up for that income. So you need to dig deep, if you have to make your child support obligation, and think of ways to make that happen. Because if you don't, That's just going to be a question the judge is going to ask you in an enforcement situation where you potentially could lose, your freedom in an enforcement case. Although that's not likely to happen, kind of immediately, it's still a risk you don't want to be putting on the table. So dig deep and find out what other sources of income can you use to replace what you normally relied on for the child support income. If you have a 401k, if you have any other kind of deferred compensation that you could cash in, even with tax liabilities, you need to go ahead and do that. Now, under the CARES Act, as I believe, you can cash in for certain reasons your 401k or portions of your 401k without tax liability, but you'll have to double check on that. But either way, if you have any sources of income, you should be making those available for the child support. The other way, obviously, is to try to gain back the income and going out and getting another job or a part-time job to cover the gap between your job loss or slowdown and the income that you used to get. So even just making attempts to do that will go further for helping you avoid being considered in contempt of court if you don't make your child support obligation, because one of the elements of contempt is that it has to be purposeful. If you can show that you were doing everything you can to try to make those payments, the contempt element might go away. Obtaining jobs, even if they're below your skill level, is a strong indication of you're trying to make those child support payments, and you'll avoid getting into trouble later on. So try to replace your income is the second step in what you should do. The third thing I recommend is if all of these fail in being allowing you to make your child support payment, then you should discuss the matter with an attorney about getting your child support obligation reduced legally. And it's important to file this as quickly as you decide that that's necessary, because your child support obligation will continue regardless of whatever your situation is. And until you do something legally about that, then that's the order is the order. A court is empowered to dismiss some of the arrearages that you may have incurred in the months after you have filed for a child support reduction. But the court cannot do that from any point earlier than the time that you filed. Therefore, it's very important for you to file as early as possible. So even though it might take several months for you to get in front of a judge to get the actual amount reduced, the court is empowered to reduce your arrearages from the point that you file. So on the date that you file the modification request to reduce your child support obligation, the court can try to help you out or give you a break during that time period if the facts warrant it, if you've documented all your attempts and you've demonstrated to the court that you are not in willful contempt of the order. But from anytime prior to that filing date, the order is what the order is, and you'll be held 100% to have paid that amount, and you'll be held in contempt if you don't. So that's why it's important to, once you decide that you're going to file for modification, you quickly go ahead and do that. And so the third thing that I'm recommending for folks is to, if you reach that stage where you think that you do need to reduce the amount, that you think that this is going to be more than just a couple months, and that it may take a while for you to either retool your skill set to match the new economy, or you're in a position where it's just not likely for you to come out of this and be working at the same income level as you did before, then you need to go ahead and modify that. And the best way to do that is to go and consult an attorney first. And the attorney's going to ask you the hard questions about what it is that you need to be able to prove to reduce this income amount. Because under the Texas Code, you can reduce your amount, but you have to show a significant change of your circumstances. And in that, you're going to have to demonstrate all of your attempts to replace the income, all your attempts to mitigate the circumstance, all your attempts to get employment, either whether in your field or otherwise. So it's a good idea to consult with an attorney before you go ahead and try to modify your child support downwards. And if you have to do it on your own, you may have to do that on your own because you can't afford the attorney. But a lot of attorneys like us here, we can offer you at least some advice for free with an initial consultation. But if you can't get all the information you need, or you can't afford an attorney, there are other options too. Like again, in my firm and some other firms, you can do just hire them for certain consultations or one-shot things like drafting. We call that unbundled services, or limited scope services, where you can just hire an attorney for one discrete thing. And that might be an option for you if you need to reduce your child support amount and can't afford an attorney to do the whole process for you. But either way, that's better than just sort of leaving it alone and kind of sweeping it under the rug. That would be the absolute worst thing to do. So there are lots of options. If you need to know more about that options, again, you can give us a call. We'll give you at least the options and give you a free 15-minute consultation and help you, get on the road to reducing that obligation. But again, remember, you are not alone in this. There are millions of Americans who are in the exact same situation as you in terms of not being able to meet your child support obligations. But that should be one of the number one financial obligations that you have. And so the 3 steps, again, that I recommend is, number 1, talk with the obligee, the person receiving the money, and try to sort out a short-term deal with them so that you can get them some money and then pay off the rest over time. And if that doesn't work, then you might need to reduce your child support amount. But throughout the whole thing, you should be trying to get that income in and get it going again, doing everything you can and documenting those efforts. So I wish you well. These are tough times, I understand. We are all of us in this together, and we're here to support each other. And if there's anything that we can do for you, please let us know.